All right. Hey guys, welcome back to the Underground. This is Interactive Chat, volume 89, our mostly weekly Solo Man podcast where we talk about everything: news, reviews, announcements, trailers, discussions, sometimes all sorts of things, anything that I can muster and gather for PSVR related news and discussions. What is up, you guys? I've missed you. My name is AJ. So good to see you again. If you're new here, welcome. We have an amazing community. Make sure you join us, join our Discord, join the channel, join the army, the resistance. I'm just kidding. We're passionate, but we're not violent most of the time. So good to see each and every one of you. This is, of course, Interactive Chat, where I like to interact with you guys and say, what is up to Blue Jew, the Underground Game Cat elite name squad in the house? Nice Spyro shrine. She has a mix of Spyro and PSVR goodness all over the shrine, and it looks glorious. Again, join our Discord. You can check it out. Berber Cat, good morning. Salvador, what is up, my dude? And Sal, I am so sorry I missed your last tip from streaming the other day. You said you hear about the rumored co-op Hitman mode that's in the works. And yes, I did hear about the co-op mode, the rumored co-op mode that is in the works. And I think we're all thinking the same thing. Man, would it be awesome if Hitman got VR support with co-op? Well, it already has VR support, but if the co-op got VR support, that would just take that game to an even higher level, which at this point seems hardly attainable, but apparently I guess there are ways that it could happen. But thank you, Sal. Appreciate your support as always, homie. I saw that right after the show, and I wanted to make sure I got you on the flip side. Twitcher, the single player game cat, says, ooh, eyes. Hello, Mark Smith. Hi there. Stingray X. So good to see each of you. Man, we have quite a lot to talk about today. Big games, AAA games, new AAA games, 2 new AAA games. It's official. That's what they're calling them. So that's what I'm going to say they are now, because that's right from the developer's mouth. Presentiment of Death, Exocus new game that's coming out pretty soon. I've got some impressions on that. And, of course, the VR showcase was recently, and they did kind of a deep dive, gave us some more information on some games coming out. And last but certainly not least, I've got a very special treat for you all today. We are going to be showing some exclusive 4 minutes and 19 seconds of Reach. So cannot wait to dive into that. But first, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about here. Real quick, I meant to get a Hitman trailer or some footage or something here. Let me see if I have some footage. Let's see here. Okay, hopefully this isn't like loud for a second. All right. This is just Hitman, random Hitman footage. I'm going to have this ready because we are going to be talking about some Hitman. But first, okay, one thing I want to get out of the way before we get into any of this awesome gaming goodness. There is some stuff. Of course, I've got the Zero Caliber 2 trailer rolling right there. That is also coming to us. It's about time for another top 10 upcoming games of 2025 video. Definitely due for that. And I've got a couple other things. I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling pretty juiced about getting back and grinding and making a couple special videos for you guys. But before we get into anything, some quick housekeeping. Shout out to these people down here that go to patreon.com/PSVR Underground. Support me for as little as $1 a month. It doesn't matter, $1 or your choice. I think the top tier is like $5, but it really helps me out. I appreciate you guys as always. Had a little extra stuff there. I posted recently. It was an unreleased. It was speaking of B-roll or some B-sides footage. It was some unreleased Underdog's first impressions that I got on there. It's about an hour of gameplay, and I'm on there. I'm talking, commentary, everything, giving my impressions, give some final thoughts at the end. So thank you to everybody who supports me here, but also thank you, all of you right there in the chat right now. I see you, S Rank NPC, Imzadi Alahembe, all of you. So good to see you. Thanks for joining. As well as you watching later. Finally, if you guys ever need a pair of lenses, you can go to vr-rock.com and use the promo code AJ PSVR and get you some lenses, man. I cannot stress enough. Like I said all the time, doesn't matter if you get use mine. I just do that for a discount for you guys. I use VR Rock. I love them. They're thin. They're magnetic. But there's a couple higher level options if you want, like I think VR Optician, Real Optics, something like that, are supposed to be like the top tier, but they're also the most expensive. I just like VR Rock. Magnetic lenses are great. You can also use that code for any headset pretty much. I bought some from them, for PSVR 1. I'd like to get some for the Quest as well. But that's all the housekeeping I got for today, man. It is time to get into some conversations here. Let me get a little bit closer so I can see. Speaking of bad eyesight, I want to be able to see your guys' comments as good as possible because I like to interact with you and hear your stuff too. It's just kind of hard sometimes when I'm running about 5,000 things on the show and trying to talk and do a bunch of things at once. But anyways, before we get into the latest and greatest on PSVR 2, there was an interesting article that came up. I'm actually going to bring up one more video. I knew I was forgetting something. I'm going to bring up one more video here real quick to take a look at while we are having this quick little discussion. But news recently broke. From
PlayStation
Video
first
Games
debuted in 1995
Chronicle.
in North America.
Hold on, two voices.
Total...
I'm gonna get my PlayStation. This was the video that you're seeing here. This was my very first video I ever did for Without Parole over there, and this was the top 5 PlayStation classics that need to be revived for VR. And I'm super proud of this video. It's still up, of course, and you can go check it out. I'll maybe leave a link in the description. This video took me a really long time to make, all my own captured footage. That's when I learned to start using trailers. Yeah, it took me about 20 hours to make and captured all this footage from PS1 classics using a PlayStation classic, the little mini one. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because there was some Shuhei Yoshida, the man, the myth, the legend, has been going around doing a bunch of interviews with various outlets, media outlets, content creators, things like that. And something that came up with Video Games Chronicle is they mentioned, now brace yourselves, trigger warning, you've been warned. This may hurt you in the feels a little bit. It certainly did for me, but it's going to be okay, and I'll tell you why. But it recently came up with an article from Video Games Chronicle during an interview about Luminous, which was recently announced coming to PlayStation VR 2 in this year, 2025. Super excited about that. I'm a huge fan of like Tetris Effect, Res Infinite. I even liked Humanity, even though I hate puzzle games. I enjoyed Humanity for about 7 to 10 hours before I was just all puzzled out and couldn't take it anymore. But we recently got word, and this is worded kind of strange, but I'm just going to go with what they put in the interview, that there was a Jumping Flash VR that was pitched to Sony that was in the early stages of development. And they basically said that there was a third party that was wanting to license Jumping Flash to make it into a VR game. Now, that's what the headline says. The actual quote is kind of strange, though, from Shu. And it says, quote, some developers wanted to license Jumping Flash to develop it into a part of their new VR game. End quote, Yoshida said, stopping short of revealing which developer was working on the game. They go on to mention things like Fantavision 2020X, came through. That was like kind of a mid-game. The wording on that is weird, but as you can see here, one of the games that I had talked about needing to be revived in VR was, in fact, this is my footage too that I captured from the PS Classic, was in fact Jumping Flash. I do think still to this day, there's several PS1 and classic PlayStation titles that would make a fantastic, revival on VR. Of course, VR is a little bit smaller, a little bit more niche, but for us hardcore gamers, a lot of us, especially, a lot of you we're within like a 10-year age span between all of us. I probably fall somewhere in the middle, maybe the younger, definitely the most handsome. I'm just kidding. No. On the other side of that, for sure. But I thought this was really interesting. And man, I will admit, when I first saw this, like, I was like, like it's always something, right? Like, but here's the deal, guys, is that we've been through this multiple times. We're pretty much battle tested and relentless, resilient warriors when it comes to supporting PSVR. Sometimes we win sometimes we don't. And it's just, it's always been an uphill battle, and, it hasn't stopped us yet. So I'm not going to be stopping now anytime soon just because of this article. But that one did hurt a little bit because I was like, oh, that would be so cool. That is one I really, really wanted to see. But to be honest with you, there's tons of other things. Like Resistance gets mentioned a lot. Killzone sometimes gets mentioned. I think Resistance series is way better than Killzone. But that's just me. Probably most of you too. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting article. Definitely, it just shows you that when we ask for some of these games, these games that are either flat to VR, not the studio, but just originally flat games converted to VR, or all this stuff is possible. Like, you can see how close it actually has come to happening on several occasions. And, while it's sometimes disappointing to hear that it didn't work out, it's still awesome to know that like these things are actually being considered in a giant mega corporation like Sony, and that these things almost happen, and super cool. There's Twisted Metal. I think that might have been my number one on the list. A little biased. I'm a huge Twisted Metal fan. One of my favorite IPs growing up. But for all you 90s kids and early 2000s teens like myself, never going to give up hope that we get these things because they'd be super cool. But yeah, like I said, a little disappointing to hear that news, but it is just cool knowing that, man, we came so close. And, never say never. Maybe one day it can actually happen. Imzadi says, you're never going to keep us down. Are you trolling us? Yeah, Resistance. Okay, we got some Resistance fans in the chat. Berber Cat. Somebody said, Resistance shout out. Oh, Awesome Tatum. There he is. Knew I could rely on you. Ooh, Imzadi says, Twisted Metal Season 2 will be out soon. Yes. I binged watched the entire Season 1 of Twisted Metal in one day. I just sat in bed and literally pressed play and like basically got up to eat and go to the bathroom. That was it. And I really enjoyed it. It wasn't perfect. I didn't love everything about it, but it delivered on what I needed it to deliver on. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that game IP kind of gets a revival a little bit. But anyways, nostalgia, man. Nostalgia. Isn't it great? There's a little battle arena to Shendon. Don't tell Brian that's in the video. He'll take the video down. But yeah, really proud of this video. Top 5 classics that need to be revived in VR. Go check it out on Without Parole when you get a chance. And let me know what you think, man. And just revel in the nostalgia a little bit. But that's not actually what we are here to talk about today. Because there is so much gaming news. My goodness, like I said, huge new games on the horizon now. Stuff can really, this is what I've always loved about VR and PSVR is it's like a roller coaster ride, man. Everything can seem like, there's just nothing happening for a while, and then all of a sudden, boom, now you have some huge new games to look forward to. But before we get into some of the deep dives on some of these games, I want to talk about some games I've been playing. One of them is, of course, Hitman, and you should be playing them too. Now, I don't know if this footage is actually part of the new update. I meant to get like a trailer for it or something, but if in case you missed it, Le Chiffre has been added as a elusive target, a special mission. There's like a thunderstorm coming in really hard right now, so sorry if there's some background noise. But they've added, in celebration of 007 First Light, which we also hope gets VR support, they've added a huge update to Hitman that not only includes the Le Chiffre playable in VR. I live streamed the whole thing, so make sure you go check that out if you haven't yet. Seems like most of you did already. Thanks for watching. But they've added 14 new missions that were not previously playable in VR, now playable in VR. And some of them are pretty cool and unique and just awesome and really showcase really showcases like the best of what Hitman has to offer. It's, Hitman's a little bit different. It is like a big sandbox, stealth game, but what most people don't realize, and it took me a while to figure this out, so it's not like on you or anything. It's just, it doesn't really easily explain everything to you, but there's stuff like the mission stories, which is basically you eavesdrop on somebody and then it reveals like a new storyline that you can actually continue to follow and try not to fail. And there's really cool methods and ways to cause like accidents, with Hitman, it's not always just you walk up and you shoot people. No, sometimes it's like sabotaging a movie set and to make it like explode on some like prick actor that needs to be taken out or something that you have a contract for, dropping a chandelier on somebody, electrocuting them with like water and a surge protector nearby. And guys, how are you liking Hitman? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure a lot of you are playing it, but just had to give a shout out to this. The other really cool thing I loved about Hitman, although it needs a little bit of a fix, so I need to figure out who to email or report a bug. But one of the new missions is the third mission of Patient Zero campaign. Well, all of Patient Zero campaign is now playable in VR. But the third mission in particular is really cool because it's a sniping mission where they just have you at the top of a tower. They're telling you about a virus outbreak, and then they're giving you clues like, hey, this guy's a musician, he's playing guitar, this guy's using a clipboard, this guy's got a limp, he's been injured, and you use that to figure out the targets, and you got to take down all 5 targets and then the mad doctor or whatever himself. And that's a really, really cool mission. And again, the one really cool thing about Hitman is that they actually render the scope. So you actually look down the sights and everything through the scope on the sniper rifle itself. So it's really cool, really maximizes the immersion. The only problem with that mission, though, is that some of the clues that they give you are things, like I said, like people playing guitar, people holding a clipboard. There's a little bit of a bug right now, at least that I've experienced. I don't know if anyone else is that the guitar that they're supposed to be holding is not there. It's invisible. The clipboard that they're supposed to be holding is invisible. So you can still kind of technically tell what they're doing. I mean, the guy's sitting here doing this, so he's playing guitar, but little immersion breaking, obviously just a little visual bug. Hopefully I can figure out who to tell and get that fixed, because once they get it corrected, then oh my gosh, it is just, this update is so mind blowing. I wish I could run a poll right now. if you think Hitman is the best game on PSVR 2, press type 1 in the chat. If you don't think it's the best game, but obviously still really good, press 2 or type 2. I want to see how many people think. I'm actually starting to think that Hitman could be the best game, surpassing Resident Evil Village, which is hard to do. But I'm really, really curious. I think Hitman is just phenomenal. I think it's absolutely one of the best VR games of all time. And I'm so glad that the version we got is actually as good as it is, because all the other versions, besides the PSVR 1 version, were disasters. All right, so I'm seeing, what up, Jay, the foveated rendered game cat, coming in at 90 native frames per second. Dan Kiefer, Grumpy Williams, good to see you. Hitman never played or wanted to flat, but this VR version is one of the craziest experiences I've ever had entertainment-wise. I totally agree. Not every genre works for me in VR, but stealth is something that has been really, really cool to kind of discover. Survival is another one for me that I never knew I liked so much. What up, Bad Robo, Shapeshifter? But yeah, no, I totally hear you. I have had zero interest in playing Hitman. I mean, I've played Hitman a long time ago, and like I was honestly kind of bored with it. Like I didn't care too much. Now, granted, this was the early version. This wasn't the remake version. But I just wasn't crazy about it. But dude, like I absolutely fell in love with it on PSVR 2. I fell in love with it on PSVR 1 actually. I love that version as well. Chrome Colossus says 2. Doesn't think it's the best PSVR 2 game. Steve IRE says 1, possibly. So it's like, yes, but maybe that can change. Lots of 2s here, lots of 2s. Twitcher says 1, and then change it to 2. So yeah, okay. Well, thanks for answering. I was curious to see how y'all felt about it, because I think honestly there is a strong argument to be made that it is. But I understand different strokes, different folks. And yeah, maybe not. Oopie in the chat tonight. What is up? Says guaranteed like. Have a great night. Hugs from your eternal fam from Brazil. Familia. Thank you, Oopie. Shout out all my Brazilian undergrounders out there, man. You guys are awesome. Love y'all. Good to see you, Oopie. Thanks for always bringing the heat, bringing the energy. But yeah, man. New elusive target. All of this stuff is part of the banker pack. And keep an eye out, you people on the Patreon. I got a couple giveaways coming really, really soon. And, even though basically they did send me a banker pack key, but I'm just going to buy it and give you guys the key. You've earned it. Good on you. But just don't tell them that, okay? I don't want to get blacklisted. But anyways, there's some other giveaways that'll be happening pretty soon too. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, man, the banker pack, amazing. All this new update and improvements, quality of life features, absolutely amazing. Just makes it an amazing game even more amazinger. So cool, man. I love Hitman and I cannot wait to spend some more time with it. But moving on, Grumpy Williams says 1 due to the amount of content. Yeah, for real. Hitman is not only 1 AAA game, it's 3 AAA games. So really, really cool. Bad Robo says, I won't answer that question. It's a completely different game than RE in terms of awesomeness. These are equal games, definitely top 5 and one of the best VR games. Fair enough. Yeah, RE Village is, man, still in my opinion, like, the GOAT. But obviously you can kind of exchange that with Resident Evil 4 as well. It depends on, do you care about the VR immersion, VR factor, or do you care about just the game being slightly better? And that's kind of what you're working with there and more replayable. Alahembe says, can't believe AJ's had 3 shows this week. Have I? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, man, like I said, I'm trying to get things back on track, trying to get the channel up and running again. And yeah, I got a little bit of a nice break and I'm feeling a little reinvigorated. And want to do my due diligence and get and cover all this stuff. And there's also lots of really exciting stuff right now. This summer is kicking the hell out of last year's summer. What up, Tom 12? Tom the 12-toed backlog game cat. What up, homie? Izzard, good to see you. Yeah, but this year is really beating last year in terms of announcements, in terms of just how generally excited I am about, things going on right now. Still a lot of uphill battles to go, and still got a lot of, work to be done and games to play and things to see and do. But, however, I feel like the excitement is slightly bigger this year than compared to last year. We're also getting releases. Speaking of releases, there is a game coming out very, very soon. Let me see if Brian actually answered me on this. I asked him a question about something, and shocker, he didn't reply. Anyways, Presentiment of Death. This is so weird. This came out of absolutely nowhere. But I've played it, and I have some impressions for you guys. So when I first saw this game, what up, Sergeant Frosty? Secrets of. So good to see you guys, man. Thank you for being here. When I first saw this game, my first thought was, oh, it's super hot with a bow and arrow. And it's so, that was like such a almost like sarcastic surface level comment. What I didn't realize is how much this actually is super hot with a bow and arrow. Now, the difference is, you're shooting at these like alien looking, creatures, and the time speeds up when you pull the bow. So like, as you pull the bow, time speeds up a little bit. The levels work exactly the same. You literally, when you shoot everything that's on the stage or whatever, there's a black cube that comes up and you grab it to go to the next level. I was like, dude, this is super hot with a bow and arrow. The other thing I didn't expect is, it's actually really, really fun. The concept, it's easy to say, oh, super hot with a bow. And I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it as much as super hot or whatever. But it's actually surprisingly, it works really, really well. Visually, it's pretty too. Visually, it looks really nice. But I was a little surprised, like how much fun this actually was. And then I heard it was $15 or it's going to be $15. And I was like, damn, like, holy crap. Like they're doing all the right things. But before you get too excited, there's two huge red flag warnings that I need to tell you about. These are honestly, for as much as I was enjoying this, there's two big issues with it. Number one, the main game is about like 35 minutes long. 35 minutes. So $15 seems like a steal until the game is literally like 35 minutes long. And you're like, well, yeah, that's sounding more expensive now. And then, honestly, I wouldn't have had a huge problem with that. That is like, like for me, a game needs to be at least like 5 hours to be considered like a game. A memorable gaming experience needs to be at least 5 hours. That's the lowest. An experience can be whatever. Experience can be as low as 15 minutes. I don't give a damn. It just has to be a really good experience to be memorable. This sort of is like a big demo, kind of like a big tech demo. That's a word we haven't had to say in a while. It's kind of like that. I'll tell you what the real deal breaker for me with this game is that there's no turn button. There's no turn button. You can't turn with the joysticks. And you say, AJ, why is that a problem? Well, that's a problem, my friends, because there's enemies that come up behind you and they just run into you. So you have been warned. As fun as this game is, I personally would, first of all, please, developers, I know you're probably not listening or watching, but if you are, please add a turn button, a smooth, like let me turn around a one. I'll even take a 180 button. I don't care. I need to be able to turn around in this. I'm just not, even though I love immersion, I'm really not comfortable physically doing a 360 in my room. I've got too many breakable, expensive things in here, and I'm just really not comfortable with that. But yeah, the turn button really is the big deal breaker for me. That's obviously something that they should be easily able to fix. And then yeah, like, you know, I'd say maybe after that, like pick it up on sale. If you know that length of game is not enough for your $15, understandably so. But it is pretty quality. It is really fun. They just need to add a damn turn button. And you know, if you have the space, if you're comfortable moving around like that, then you're fine. You're pretty much good to go. But the other thing is there's also like an endless mode. So it's not just the 30-minute game and then it's done. There actually is like an endless kind of keep going and going and going mode. So that's nice. So there is like, you know, something to this to have enough to like do and enjoy for at least a little while before it gets old. But yeah, the turn button is the big problem for me. If you don't have the room, just make sure you wait for that to get patched in first. And then, but other than that, like I was having a lot of fun with this. I was really surprised how fun this was. Because yeah, it very much is super hot with a bow and arrow and looks really nice and has nice music and, it's pretty cool. So surprisingly, yeah, like better than I expected. Like I enjoyed it more than I expected, but again, there are those, red flags there to just pay attention to. And that's it for Presentiment of Death, the weirdest game name I've possibly ever seen. I don't know. We've seen some pretty weird game names. I'm not a big fan of that name, but it doesn't really matter to me what a name of a game is all the time. Sometimes like Max Mustard. Okay, that one really annoys me. That one really, really annoys me. But Presentiment of Death, it's just kind of weird. But sure, it's fine. Nice art style. Good stuff. So, but that's not all I've been playing. I have also been playing something that some of you may have caught that I live streamed last night. And that is, of course, Zombie Army VR has released today. Woohoo! Congratulations to Rebellion for finally getting this game out the door. And honestly, it seems like all the delays were worth it for them. Because one thing that I can say about this game is I do feel like it is overall, there might be some tiny things here and there. Some I even noticed last night. But overall, I feel like this is a really complete, polished game. I didn't encounter a lot of jank with it. I didn't encounter pretty much any bugs with it. Almost any bugs, like hardly tiniest of things. And it's really enhanced for VR2. So it's really clean visually, 90 native frames per second. I called it last night. I talked about it as being a Quest 3 game on steroids, because obviously there's some enhancements that are probably not on the Quest version, but where the Questy stuff shows for me is kind of in the game design, the game structure, the kind of geometry at times, some low res textures hiding in weird places here and there. But overall, I do think it is a like solid, well-built game. It is like, you know, solid enough. It does have 2-player co-op as well. Shooting Nazi zombies is pretty fun in this. And my favorite thing, of course, about this is the X-ray kill cam. I was having a lot of fun with that X-ray kill cam last night. I actually had fun streaming this last night. Um, the biggest problems I have with this game, like I said, some of it has to do with kind of like the limited scope of the design. Like you have all these assets, but they're just kind of placed there, and like you're just going through, and there's a lack of creativity with this game. That kind of bothers me. I really, really like creativity in games. Like I wanted to play this game and have a unique zombie army VR experience. And if you talk to people that are like obsessed with the zombie army games, they talk about things like how in the recent ones, there's like, when you go to a level, there's like hundreds of zombies, like literally like 100 zombies that you have to take down. And there's like hordes of them and stuff. This has like 5 or 10, that come at you at a time or something. And it can be pretty challenging. I mostly played on normal. It can be pretty challenging. So this game is very much just a basic like arcade shooter. And for me, I feel like I can be in the mood to play this sometimes and enjoy it. And then other times I'm just like, no, like I need something really that feels like really inspired, really creative and different, something unique that I can experience here. And I was hoping for a little bit, something just a little bit more when it comes to like, just the experience of it. Because I think the biggest flaw that this game has is, like I said, maybe the lack of creativity a little bit, or depth, scope, but also like the immersion. I don't feel like this is not a game you would really play for like the immersion. It's not a very immersive looking game to me. It doesn't feel immersive to play. It's very just basic run and gun shooter. And I don't know. There's a lot of like objects. You can't like interact with everything. It just kind of feels like it didn't really take advantage, despite being developed as a VR like exclusive title. It lacks a lot of VR-iness. It has some good stuff, it's got some interaction, some melee, but it's very point and clicky. It's very arcade shootery, and I don't know. Like I said, for me, the biggest problem I have is the repetition of the game. The majority of the game, just know this, is what you see in the first couple levels is basically what you get for the entirety of the game. You go into a room, you shoot the zombies, you move on. You go into a room, shoot the zombies, move on. And it gets pretty boring. It's fun to like kind of pick up and play in like short, sessions. But when I tried to like sit there and play through it for like several hours, no, I couldn't do it. It was too repetitive, too grindy. And like, honestly, like I just didn't want to play it anymore, at some point. So I don't know, man. Some people this game is, like I said, a little bit of a mixed bag. I'd say it's about an average game for me personally. And this hurts because like I really, really love Rebellion. I love the studio. I know some people there, and it makes it extremely difficult to like really be critical on this. But I have to be honest with you guys as always, man. Like I will never ever like be dishonest about how I feel about a game. But it does suck really bad when I talk about being very critical on a game with some people I consider like friends. But to me, the game, I think what I would rate this game personally is like a 6 out of 10. It's very average to me. It works. It's solid, like in many ways, but like, again, the lack of creativity, the lack of deep immersive features, the lack of like something unique to identify this game with the Zombie Army series, other than just going in and just mindlessly shooting Nazi zombies. As cool as that is, like in concept, in practice, it's just a mindless shooter. And I'm just not in the mood right now for a mindless shooter. I'm looking for something a little bit deeper of an experience to have. And that's the unfortunate part, for this game for me. But that being said, like I said before, I can have some fun with this game at times. Sometimes you do want just a mindless shooter, and a lot of stuff with VR is like sometimes you're in the mood, sometimes you're not. And for me, just right now, I'm just really not feeling in the mindless shooter kind of deal, and so like it's just not working for me right now. But if you're in need of a mindless shooter, then I think it is a pretty good one at that. And it's got, I do like the art style. I do like the dismemberment of the zombies. And there are things that I do like about this game. I do think it has some quality features, but unfortunately, nothing really changed much from my first impressions of like, it's just like, okay, like this is fine, but like there's a little bit lack of excitement with this game. There's no surprise. There's no excitement. And yeah, there's little things here and there that I think just take me out of the immersion. Things like the scope going full screen on your face when you hold up the thing, rather than, aiming down the scope, like it actually rendering through the scope itself. It's not a huge deal, but it's like, like it actually works pretty well, but I would have liked, it would have been a little bit cooler to just, I don't know. There's just something constantly taking me out of the immersion with this game, and VR is all about the immersion. So, yeah, that's why I'm kind of mixed on this one. I don't think it's a bad game, but I'm looking for something a little bit more. Quill the Game Cat says, AJ, sounds like you need some Into the Radius right now. Such a rewarding game. I love Into the Radius. And yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like there's an identity with Into the Radius. When you play that game, there is like a hardcore identity with it. Not just the way it looks, but the way that it plays, it feels, it sounds, all the things. And this game lacks a little bit of like, this is the reason you play this game. Yeah, like I said, it's unfortunate, but I don't know. I really think, I do think they did a good job of kind of salvaging, what XR Games made, because XR Games, as we know, unfortunately, has been going through a rough spell, caused a lot of problems with this game, probably. And it's nice that they at least got it out the door. It was probably not easy to get this game out the door in working condition and pretty polished overall, too, like I said. But anyways, yeah, so that's, if I had to review Zombie Army right now, I'd say like 6 out of 10. But it has a pretty good price range for it. I think, well, now I think it's jumped up to 30, but if you pre-ordered it, you got it for 26. Could have been worse, but could have been better. But yeah, so Zombie Army. Now it is time to get into a deep dive. Hold on. I would like anybody that picks up Zombie Army. The good news for the devs is that it seems like a lot of people are kind of adjusting their expectations accordingly, and they know what this is going to be, which is just a mindless Nazi zombie shooter, and they're okay with that. And I think I did kind of gloss over some things, and I did forget to mention some things like it is nice that there's like the collector's items that you can kind of go around and find in the levels. There's secrets, there's collectibles. Like I said before, there's co-op, so that's fun that you could, if you have somebody that you really enjoy just like shooting with friends, you might have some fun with this. And then then there's like leaderboards, which I'm usually not a big leaderboards person, but the cool thing about in VR is that there's so fewer people playing that usually you actually have a chance of getting at the top of the leaderboards. But anyways, moving on. It is now time to talk about the VR Showcase Developer Deep Dive that happened. Was that earlier this week? Good gosh, I don't even know. I think it was, yeah. It was the 10th. The 10th, Tuesday, I believe. We've got some We've got some brand new infos on basically 3 new games. Well, basically 2. mainly Thief VR and Reach. Although I got to give a little shout out to my homies over at Flat to VR Studios, that this game's finally starting to get my attention a little bit. I originally heard roguelike, and I'm just like, and the cartoony graphics, and I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. But the more I see of this, I'm actually it's starting to get my attention now, starting to be a little bit more intrigued, and that is RoboQuest VR. Now, with this VR showcase thing, we didn't really get a ton of new info on it. Unfortunately, we did get a deep dive into like what Flat to VR Studios is doing. They're doing tons of stuff right now, from Surviving Mars Pioneer, also known as Matt Damon VR, Out of Sight VR, which is looking really, really cool for people that have been wanting like a Little Nightmares type experience. Of course, they're working on Postal 2, and Flat Out VR is their like biggest title that they're working on currently. Really, really excited for Flat Out whenever it comes. I'm happy for them to take their time and polish it up. But Dan Kiefer says AJ is not a leaderboard person. He is only number 1 in 17 games. Dan Kiefer. It's like 14 games, okay? I don't have that big of an ego, okay? It's only like 14. And you'll never beat those scores. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, the RoboQuest VR, a couple of new infos. Look, I did a bunch of work for you guys. Look, I work hard for you guys. I work hard for the money. I wrote this entire freaking page of notes. Such a waste of time. But anyways, no, it's not. This is important, for scientific, PSVR research purposes. They talked about some of the features of RoboQuest and how that they are fully VRifying the heck out of it. Like I said, a lot of their presentation was more about, the funny story about how they got it. They basically went up to their door and knocked on the developer's door and asked if they could make a VR mode. They talked about some of their other games, but they did share a little bit of info. And like looking at the footage and stuff, like it's starting to, like I said, it's starting to get me interested a little bit. But there's actions like double jumping. There's rail grinding. They've talked about like a bunch of like different like VR mechanics that they're adding. The big one is that I'm pretty sure I heard them right. I'm pretty sure I heard them correctly when they talked about this, but they said that this game, I thought at first they said 50 guns, but then I don't know if they said guns or just mechanics altogether, but they said they're basically developing about like, I thought they said 80 different VR guns. Maybe they were talking about mechanics. So just to play it safe, we'll say 50 guns, but maybe 80 different VRified mechanics total, which is a lot. But even let's go with the low number here, just to play it safe. 50 guns with unique manual reloading and balancing and all this stuff. I'm liking the fast pace. While I don't really care about roguelikes, the gameplay here is piquing my interest. The really fast-paced gameplay is kind of winning me over a little bit from what I'm seeing. And then you talk about stuff like grinding on rails and adding some style to it. I'm starting to become a little bit interested. So that's really all the new info we have. But they said that they're trying to implement manual reloading on over 50 weapons, which was, I was like, wow, that is definitely pretty impressive. I'm hoping this ends up like satisfying me like an old school Time Splitters 2. Who remembers Time Splitters 2? Shout out to another awesome classic. But it does have this classic competitive FPS kind of charm to it on the outside looking in. I don't really know much about this game, but just wanted to give it a little love because it is kind of winning me over. And obviously wanted to give some love to Flat to VR Studios because they're doing so many amazing things right now. And, you know, they're working their way up, and I really believe in the studio, and of course they're sweethearts too over there. So, anyways, so the next two we have are the two big kahunas, as I like to say. I don't know where I got that from. I think it's a Hawaiian term. But the Bad Robo says RoboQuest will be so good. I think you're biased, Bad Robo, because you have Robo in your name. So I'm gonna shoot that down as biased. Twitcher says, I know some people, hi Emily, are put off by cartoony graphics, but this looks like the cartoony, absolutely done right. I agree. Some games can get away with it. I really enjoyed Borderlands. You know, it's all about the style. If you stylize it properly, you can get away with cartoony graphics. The kind of cartoony graphics that I don't like, Twitcher, are like basic, low poly, low detail, low texture resolution, low everything. Those are the kind of cartoony graphics that drive me nuts. It's like, no, these are just bad graphics. These are not actually cartoony. But yeah, I think if you stylize things in a certain way, yeah, a cartoony game can absolutely work, can be super fun. We've had cartoony. I've played plenty of cartoony looking games that were excellent and very immersive, and you kind of get sucked into that cartoony world, which is honestly the fun part about it. Alahambe says Bad Robo needs to change his name to Bias Robo. I agree. No, don't, Bad Robo. I love your name, and I love your Arnold Schwarzenegger icon. Don't ever change it, please. All right. Now we've got the big stuff to talk about here. Before we get into Reach, which, I can't wait to, we've got some brand new details. Another part of the showcase was Thief VR, Legacy of Shadow. Guys, this is huge. This was a huge announcement. This is being developed by Maze Theory, Eidos Montreal, and working with Vertigo Games as well. Developers that recently have been kicking ass. They made Metro Metro Awakening VR, which was, I thought, incredible. You know, like I think I gave it like an 8 out of 10 or something. Maybe mid 8s, but I loved Metro Awakening because before it turned into just another shooter, it had this like wonderful atmosphere, some really good like action moments, and some nice little mechanics sprinkled here and there. But then of course it has the story, the narrative driven experience, which we don't get a lot of good story driven games in VR. So that really set Metro Awakening apart. But we're not here to talk about Metro Awakening. We are here to talk about Thief VR. So here we actually got a bunch of new info. I've got the video rolling from their presentation over there. And they're at Vertigo Studios. I think that guy's from Maze Theory. Just having, giving a little bit more information. And nope, he's with Vertigo. Never mind. This guy's with Maze Theory. But anyways, some things that really caught my interest. So full disclosure, I do not have any experience with the Thief series. I have experience with Eidos Montreal's like other games, or maybe, I don't know if they're Square Enix, Square Soft, who they are, Crystal Dynamics, who they are anymore. But stuff like Deus Ex, Deus Ex is like one of my favorite games of all time. I really liked Mankind, Human Revolution, and of course Mankind Divided, also awesome. And some of the other stuff they made. But interesting new details for those of us, which maybe some of you are like me and don't know a lot about the Thief series. This will be useful. But Thief is obviously being designed for the ground up for VR. It's a sandbox game. They're saying that this is a sandbox game. They're also saying that it's like they're trying to achieve AAA level quality games, which AAA quality flat screen and AAA quality built for VR are kind of different. They can be different. So they're not the same. But in terms of like AAA quality VR games, I do think that they're not, too far from that. But they're saying that this is their goal is to make this a AAA game. But this is a sandbox game, which I thought was really interesting. And actually, you see right here, you like the different points. There's multiple approaches that you can kind of take in these levels. And, if you need an example of what a sandbox game is, that's like Hitman. It gives you the ability to kind of do things in multiple different ways, do things your own way. But they did put a heavy emphasis on this being, they did say this is a story, like level and story driven campaign. So it is like a full actual developed campaign, not like a roguelike or anything or arcade game. They have a heavy emphasis on exploration. They want to reward you for exploration. Exploration is one of my favorite mechanics, if not my favorite mechanic in gaming. They talked about some of the tactile traversal in the game. Things like you have basically like the stealth in the game, of course, but they talked about the tactile interactions. Everything from, I guess you have a bow and arrow that you can use to actually you have rope arrows. Sorry. You have rope arrows that you can shoot up onto like rooftops and stuff and climb. That's pretty cool. And obviously you're going to like actually be like grabbing the rope and climbing. But a lot of the point of the game is to stay unseen. You do want to be stealth. And so you have like different ways to kind of escape into the shadows is what they say. And your main tool that you have is your bow. Things like the rope arrow for climbing. They also talk about the water arrows, which can like snuff out fires and maybe make some areas that were not accessible before now accessible, so you can access them if they were blocked by that. They talked about the setting and the art style is Victorian, Gothic, and steampunk, which is like amazing. That's going to be such a beautiful looking art style in VR as well. Like Gothic Victorian is some of my favorite like style in games. Stuff like Devil May Cry, the first one. I love that. And steampunk, basically Victorian, Gothic, steampunk, and then cyberpunk are probably my three favorite like art styles for games. I do like sci-fi as well. But this game is coming later this year. And yeah, I thought it was really cool to hear about with this info. Oh, and of course there's Stephen Russell, the voice of Garrett, who will be making a return. Pretty cool after 30 years or however long it's been. Yes. But I loved the biggest thing that I think caught my attention from this presentation was the sandbox design. That really has my interest there. Some Time Splitters 2 love in the chat. Love to see it. Imhotep says, if Thief is good enough and enough of us buy it, we might get the while back catalog. Fuck PC Gamer. Indeed. Yes. Support awesome games so we can make PC Gamer cry at night some more. What a lovely week that was for us, huh? Watching him have a mental breakdown. I don't like VR. Anyways, yeah, that didn't work out too well for him. Although, don't click on his articles, guys. Like, you don't fall for the bait. Just ignore it and make fun of him in front of everyone else. Anyways, Twitcher says Thief was massively influential, hiding in shadows, snuffing out lights, hiding corpses. Without Thief, we'd probably never had Hitman. Interesting. Awesome Tatum says, I think and hope Thief VR will be good. Guys, I got to tell you, I have full confidence that this game is going to be really, really good. I don't see this ending up being anything less than like at the lowest, I bet you this will at least be an 8 out of 10. But honestly, my expectations are a little bit higher than that. I think this game is going to be really, really good. Vertigo's been crushing it. The game is a perfect fit in terms of like immersion, atmosphere, gameplay mechanics. If you haven't gotten into stealth games yet, don't worry. Stealth games are amazing in VR. So if you haven't found something that you really like, I think this will be the one that will finally convert you to a believer in stealth. For me, it was the Persistence on PSVR 1. That's when I was like, oh shit, I actually do like stealth games. I just didn't know it. Not puzzles though. Don't get it twisted. But no, stealth is just, it works and it plays really well with what VR strength is, which is immersion. It's like horror, how well and scary horror games can be. Stealth, I think, works actually equally, maybe not equally, but very close, like just as well. Shapeshifter says, though the PC days of Thief 3, Deus Ex, and System Shock 2. Oh, System Shock 2. System Shock 2, another one of my favorite games of all time. Would love to see the remake get VR. I know the first one has like UEVR support, which I did play for a little bit, but I don't really care about System Shock 1. I like System Shock 2. But dude, Deus Ex, yeah, man, Human Revolution was such an amazing game. GameCat Chicago says Thief will be the best stealth game. Bad Robot Hitman is all about stealth, but it's got a lot of other stuff going on there too. It's very, Hitman is like I've always said, it's like the best James Bond game that's currently out there. It's the most James Bond, not James Bond game, which is why IO is so perfect for developing the next James Bond game. But yeah, it's definitely, I could see the influence from Thief. I could see the influence from James Bond. And yeah, Hitman has evolved over the years as well. It's changed a lot. What up, Charger Mike? Good to see you. Steve IRE. Just in case I didn't give you a shout out, wanted to get you. Shapeshifter, the Anomaly Cat. Chrome to the Dome Colossus. Yes, after puzzling. But yeah, guys, like I said before we move on to Reach, I think Thief is going to be at least like as good as like another Metro or something, which I absolutely loved. And yeah, keep up the great games, Vertigo. Hang in there. And let's just make sure if this does turn out good that we support this game, you guys. We can do it. We've proven it before. We'll do it again. Which brings us to the last game of the night. Woo-wee! And have I got a little treat for you guys? Okay. Reach, you guys. Reach. Let me get the trailer here going first. Hopefully the sound's not on. Please don't let the sound be on. Okay, it's off. You guys, Reach, honestly, is kind of blowing me away. Last couple, like End Dreams has always been a really promising developer. Everything from Shooty Fruity, I really liked. Obviously, Synapse was really, really good. They've done some other stuff. I'll even give a shout out to, what's that like Double Dragon game they had? The zombie beat 'em up game. Damn it, I can't remember. Somebody will remember in the chat. Dude, Reach though, this is the biggest, most ambitious thing I have seen this studio make in several years. Their last few games, I'll admit, have been a little lackluster. Ghostbusters, really, really underwhelming. Incredibly disappointing because, it's the Ghostbusters IP, which a lot of us loved. And, Ghostbusters was pretty disappointing with the direction they took it. Bloody Zombies. Thank you, Twitcher. I knew one of y'all would have my back there. But guys, I am really, really blown away with what I'm seeing here. Studio Elevation was originally designed or created as a part of End Dreams to create big budget AAA VR games. And they didn't come out and say, this is a AAA VR game until the VR showcase. This guy right here actually, I think, says it. So it's official. This is the second triple A VR game that is being developed exclusively for VR. And all I got to say is the more I look at the footage and everything, the more it shows. As I break down all the little things from the gameplay footage, from the trailer, I am like, honestly, I am like, wow, like, are they going to actually pull this off? This is the probably the most excited I've been about a game since like Wanderer, which I know, but End Dreams, if they anything they do get right is like, they're always polished, they're really polished games. The polish and quality is never the problem with End Dreams games. Length and depth and content, replay value, those have been the problems with End Dreams games. So this has a lot going for them though, because this seems to be like a, story driven campaign. So it's not like a multiplayer thing. It's not like a roguelike. I want to shout out Twitcher, who's in the chat. Twitcher, the single player game cat. We got some new info on this game. But Twitcher actually went above and beyond and got a little bit more information from their, they had an AMA session and we confirmed some things. So let me start with the new info first before we talk about the stuff that Twitcher got. Oh yeah, everyone's pointing out that dude's mustache. Yeah, I know. I thought all I could think about was that dude's mustache after seeing this presentation, and I was like, I don't rock a mustache. I have a full beard, but if I ever rocked just a mustache, no, I wouldn't do it like that. but it's a pretty cool mustache. Look at that thing. Oh, yeah, buddy, get it. Anyways, I digress here. So okay, really important notes. Really important things that caught my attention. I rewatched this presentation and took some notes. Again, I did work for you guys, so thank you for your support as always. I do this because you guys give me the strength and the power and the motivation. When it comes to what influenced Reach, the first things they say are Tomb Raider and Uncharted. Now, for those who don't know anything about those, at least in more recent years, those games are known for being very cinematic, very action, adventure. And yeah, they also mentioned Jedi Survivor later in terms of just kind of like the cinematic presentation, the platforming, the action adventure side of things. Not bad influences to have for a VR game. We've talked about how much we want like Uncharted in VR. Well, Brian does anyways. Not that I wouldn't, but he mentions it like it's going to happen all the time. But anyways, Tomb Raider and Uncharted are big influences and inspiration for this game. Off to a good start. There is something that I noticed from the trailer that they actually confirmed in this presentation. And that is, yes. And GameCat Chicago, yes, it still could be, it says take it with a grain of rice though. Still might be marketing. Of course, that is true. Don't want to set our expectations too high and get disappointed. But hey, I mean, sometimes it's easy to fall for it. I mean, you want to believe the developers, but yes, you're right. It's a good call. It's good to be a little bit more level-headed, cautiously optimistic sometimes. But I'm liking what I'm seeing here, to be honest. But there you do start out. You'll notice like some of the more actiony gameplay of like. It looks more Uncharted, where there's like helicopters and trucks driving through buildings, things like that. That does look a little bit more like the Uncharted type cinematic action that I personally really love. I think that's what makes Uncharted so great, is the cinematic action. Blood and Truth did a great job of this as well, and you can see some similarities with this game and Blood and Truth. And while they're firing like a bow right here, you see in other parts, they don't have these gloves. They just have a pistol. And now They have a bow and a shield and all this stuff. That's something that they mentioned in the game. It has to do with kind of the story, the progression of the campaign, where you start out just as kind of like a weak human. You start normal, and then they said by the end of it, you kind of become like full blown, like almost like a superhero. And you can definitely see that looking at the gameplay footage. You see, like I said, you see it later on in the game. You have gloves, you have a bow. They talked about different features with the thing. They didn't talk about the shield at all, but I mean, clearly that's there. They've got a Captain America shield that you're throwing. That's pretty cool. But as far as the bow, so there's a mix of high action or high stealth is what they're saying. They're saying you can kind of go about things in an action-packed way, or you can be more stealthy about it. And for the bow, the stealth, the bow helps a lot for that. You can do things like shooting the arrows at a wall to distract enemies, make them walk over somewhere, separate them from a group, and kind of take them out one by one. But then you've also got the action side of things where you have things like freeze arrows, which you see a little bit of that in the trailer here. This is just the trailer right now. This isn't the exclusive footage yet. This is you can like freeze like a group of enemies with the freeze arrows. There's stun arrows, and then there's stuff like the grappling hook, which is so badass, man. I love that both this and Thief have these grappling hook mechanics. Anybody that played Batman Arkham Shadow, that was my favorite part about the game. Was literally like beating the crap out of somebody and then grappling and getting away. That was really, really fun. So I love that to see more games starting to implement this. But yeah, this is a really interesting concept, and it's helping me kind of understand what they're trying to do with Reach, which is mix this cinematic action adventure like a Tomb Raider, Jedi Survivor, or Uncharted, and then go like full-blown superhero with it. I think that's pretty cool. And as we know with Synapse, is that Endreams is pretty damn good at delivering like a power fantasy. The grappling hook is not just used for what they showcase the grappling hook here. You can see it used a couple times. You can see it used for actually grappling like columns or something and swinging from them. But you can also weaken enemies or something, and then you can grapple their gun away from them, which you see right there. He's actually using the grappling hook to grab their gun and then use it against them. So that's a really cool mechanic. And they talked about something called FBA, full body awareness, that this game is using like a full body IK pretty much. It was kind of funny how they said, like, if you zoom out and look at the VR avatar in third person, it looks like really janky, but in first person, like it looks like normal. Like it's all about kind of the perspective of how you're viewing things. But it does have full body IK, and it does have like very, very immersive things like ledges you can climb up. All sorts of like really deep immersive mechanics, which is very, very exciting. Things like mantling, climbing, squeezing through crevices. Which brings us to Twitcher's info. So one of the things that we were a little bit worried, because sometimes when developers try to reinvent the wheel a little bit, they fail. We know it works. Sometimes you get a little too ambitious, fly a little too close to the sun, and then you end up screwing something up, because rather than just going with what works, you wanted to try something new. That's how you end up with a game like Golem, where not the flat screen Golem based on the Lord of the Rings character, but the PSVR 1 Golem, where you use one move controller to like lean forward, and it basically gave you back pains, and it was a terrible thing that they refused to acknowledge was a bad design choice and wouldn't fix it or whatever. So it had us a little bit worried here. What up, Peter the Underground, Game Cat on Pearl? Had us a little bit worried when they talked about this. We're reinventing this gesture-based traversal, and we were like, oh wait, okay, hold on. I think all of us went to the same place immediately. We're like, okay, please don't tell me you got to like swing your arms to run or swing your arms to move, things like that. Listen, I get that, you know, 2 people might find that immersive and cool, but the majority of gamers, like, we want something that's easy to use. And they did put a heavy emphasis on this, on this interview, saying like they feel like they've tested this stuff over and over and over to make it to where it's not like you have to fight with it to control, to make it feel like fluid and nice and smooth. And thanks to Twitchy going to the AMA, he has officially confirmed that the locomotion is not arm swinging to move. Thank the Lordy, because nobody wants that. Now, some of the things like jumping, like going like this to jump, or, you know, obviously climbing, swinging, you know, they talked about like crawling through crevices, things like that, which Twitcher also mentioned. Those are used. That's fine. I love stuff like that. That helps with the immersion. That helps with the, you know, the feel of the game, the experience, really taking advantage of like why we play VR in the first place. So that it, but sometimes again, developers go too far with it. Arm swinging only as a locomotion mechanic to me only works when that's like a main part of the game. Like when that is the game, like Stride, it worked well for Stride. It worked well for Sprint Vector, but that's literally a parkour game and a rollerblade parkour game. So it's like, yeah, if that's the one thing you're doing, sure. But as for an action adventure, it's like you don't want, you don't want to have to like swing your arms to move. But anyways, it will be interesting to see a little bit more on like the jumping. Let's see here. Chrome Class is good. Jumping can still suck though. I'll be watching that stuff. Options are the best. Give us effing options. Options. Always the best bet. You know, it's just VR, because VR can be played in so many different ways. I know you can't always please everybody, but you know, options are really usually the best solution. Oh, you don't like swinging your arms to sprint faster? Okay, then select this option to click in the joystick to just automatically sprint. I wholeheartedly agree. Options are super important, especially with VR games. They're probably more important for VR games than they are flat screen games, just because all the different body types, all the different, you know, play styles, the motor function skills, all the different things. But anyways, guys, I am super blown away, super excited about what I'm seeing from Reach. I think this has become probably my new most anticipated upcoming game. This and Thief, honestly. This, Thief, Flat Out, maybe Aces of Thunder. These are now, since some of the games have been released, these are my most anticipated games coming out. So I will be doing a video at some point on the next half of 2025, the top 10 upcoming 2025 games to look forward to. And don't be surprised if this ends up being number one. I'll probably squeeze Wanderer back in there. And I'll be like, when Wanderer's finished, yeah, it's not going to be number one anymore, but I'm still excited to play it once it's done because it was really ambitious and cool. But all right. So I was provided a little bit of B-roll footage. Now, this is pre-alpha gameplay footage, and let me make this very clear. This is not a hype trailer. This is not like supposed to really be like something to get you excited. This isn't fluff. This is nothing but just pure gameplay clips of pre-alpha footage of Reach that nDreams was so gracious in providing me. So I am happy to debut this today with you guys, this exclusive footage. And again, just keep in mind, this video is not intended to get you super excited, get you, I mean, you should be, but look, it's not a hype video. It's not flashy. It's literally just some gameplay clips of test footage, basically pre-alpha gameplay test footage. I cannot stress that enough. Before I show this footage, I don't want to, set your expectations too high. But I want you to, this is great footage for all of you PSVR nerds like me. This is for science, baby, because we love science. And let's take a look at this together. 4 minutes and 19 seconds of Reach footage of just various little gameplay clips. And what I want you guys to pay attention to is kind of put yourself in the gameplay. Imagine the things that you're doing, the gestures that they're doing. Pay close attention to the details. I want to hear what kind of things you pick up on as well. I know it's like, get on with it. I know, but I'm trying to make this work well, because I don't want to get you too excited and then you'd be like, that was it. It's literally just some simple footage, but there's some cool stuff in there. But pay attention to all the things you're doing. Think about the haptics that you'll be feeling, maybe some headset rumble in some parts. All right. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and sit back, relax, and enjoy 4 minutes and 19 seconds of Reach gameplay. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's do this. Oh God, wait, hold on. I need to get rid of the other trailer. Okay, let's do this again. Take two. All right. We did it. Hold on. Okay. Told you. Doing this and running a show. I'm going to no, not this one. Where is reach B-roll? There it is. Okay. Boom. There it is. Okay. So this was their B-roll that they provided. But yeah, man, really cool stuff. I'm going to actually, for all the people on Patreon, I will upload this so you can check it out again and just watch it without my fumbling. If you just, just for fun. I don't want to, there's, like I said, there's no music in it. I actually thought about putting my own music to it, but I just figured I'd show you guys some gameplay. Again, pre-alpha footage, just like almost like test footage in a way. Oh, I love this. But some of the things like I noticed in this trailer, like this jumping through the window, and like Blood and Truth, when you jump through the window, it was like very scripted, right? It was on rail. It was a very on rails experience. This is like full locomotion, running, doing the gestures, jumping through, and there's going to be some headset rumble doing that. All this climbing, you'd have to imagine there's some really good haptics and adaptive triggers. I think some of the stuff of this I think some of this footage was shown in the trailer, Chrome Colossus, but I don't think all of it was. Here we go. This is where they say, F you, Half-Life Alex. You think drawing is cool? Well, look what we can do. That is pretty cool. I mean, like, that's such a novel thing, but that is super cool that you can not only draw on the wet, dry erase board, but you can like smudge it too. Like, kind of just, this is how VR evolves. This is how VR, you iterate on the things that do work and that are really cool. And this is how we get there eventually, right? Where like everything is like fully figured out, fully fleshed out, and then everyone can stop worrying about how to make the game work and fun, and like make it, just take those awesome things and just make it, a full-fledged game out of it. VR is still kind of in its early development stages. So stuff like this is why I play VR, is for stuff like this, man, honestly. I do, while I do love hybrid games the most, when I see stuff like this, I'm like, okay, this is how built for VR games eventually surpass hybrid games in some ways, when these mechanics are all figured out and thought of, and the innovation, the creativity. And again, this is why I got into VR in the first place, because I was tired of the same old. And unfortunately, with some of our games these days, we're starting, even in VR, we're starting to run in some of the same old. Some stuff, I hate to throw Zombie Army a little under the bus here, but I am, because it's like, this is fine, but it's like, this is nothing new. And it's like already becoming something we've already done a million times before. Reach, ladies and gents, is something I can honestly say, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Something like an Uncharted, and the closest thing I've seen is maybe like Blood and Truth. But again, the big difference here is that Blood and Truth was an on-rails experience. So absolutely blown away by what I'm seeing here. Visually, the special effects look just absolutely incredible. Let me blow this up again. Just all the special effects, and look how far down that is. The elevation of, flat screen never does VR justice. So seeing this stuff in VR, as good as this looks flat screen, just imagine if it looks this good flat screen, how good this is going to look in VR when you've got the full scale, everything is scaled to size. And even just so much as just looking at this set, like this set here is just some trolleys or whatever, some sky boxes, and it's like man, this is really cool. Chrome Colossus says, I like the drawback sound on the bow. Yeah, some cool sound design stuff. And yeah, interesting how there's the different types of arrows that you can use. Some are stealthy, some are just pure, just action and explosive. Bad Robo says, hope for 90 frames per second. That would be nice. With the way this game looks, never say never, but with the way this game is looking, I think the best thing they could do is give us the option, right? Give us a 90 frames per second mode, maybe have to strip out the things that you have to, or give us a reprojected options. Sometimes there's a game where I'm like, yeah, like I actually would rather this be reprojected so that we can have the lighting and the shadows and the high resolution textures, things like that. Steve Irie says, did you see the PS buttons on the bow there? I saw the little icons on the bow. I didn't notice they were PS buttons, but I did see the icons. I thought they were more just like the elemental icons or whatever. Twitcher says, should have called it reach around. Much cooler. Here's the dry erase board that you can whoop, 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 whoop. That's pretty interesting. It's such a small thing, but it's these small things that really add up for like immersion. And yes, I did almost consider putting music over it, just to make it a little bit more exciting to watch. But again, we are just PSVR nerds, and we want to, I wanted to do it, just see the game as is, what it's like to actually, what the actual, like some of the moment to moment gameplay actually looks and sounds like. Obviously the game will probably, it's probably missing music that it otherwise would have. So, but I didn't want to, put some other stuff in it and, change or alter what it is from the footage, the natural footage. So, but I thought that was really cool to kind of see that additional footage. And, yeah, some of it's used in the trailer, but there is some extra stuff, I think. So pretty awesome, man. But guys, wow, this show's running a little bit long, but, I was super excited about, to talk about everything today. You guys are amazing, man. Thank you so much for coming and hanging and, checking this out. And, yeah, man, again, everyone on the Patreon, I will upload this footage as well as got some giveaways coming. So stay tuned for that. I have a couple write-ups I'd like to do, but I have some other videos I got planned. I want to do another top 10 upcoming games of 2025. Definitely expect to see Reach and Thief on there. And I've got another secret redacted video that I want to work on and get to you guys too. Hopefully I'll find the time at some point to work on it, but I'm feeling juiced. I'm feeling ready. Awesome Tatum says, I want a t-shirt. You want a Reach t-shirt, or you want a PSVR Underground t-shirt? Or do you want a Mega Man t-shirt? Looking at all of its glory. Running and gunning since 1987. All right, guys. But thank you so much for your support. As always, you guys keep me going. You guys are the reason I'm here and have been so supportive from the very beginning, 8 years ago. And yeah, man, it's really, I love how interesting VR is right now from a gamer's perspective. Like I said before, a lot of people use VR for a lot of different things. I like games. So, but you guys are amazing, man. Thank you so much. And yeah, man, I appreciate each and every one of you. Now it is time to get out of here with some metal. Y'all have a wonderful rest of the week, wonderful weekend. Maybe, if I can, I'll squeeze in a stream this weekend. Otherwise, I'll be working on redacted stuffs. So it's always 50-50. But once it slows down, expect more live streams. But even just in general, I want to have more live streams. I want to have at least one Patreon post a month, at least one. I'm trying to really increase the output here. I'm feeling a little recharged. It's easy to get burnt out, and it is tough to stick with keep up with everything, be playing stuff all the time. It does get you do get a little fatigued from it, but I feel like I've had a good mental health break, and I'm feeling ready to get back in the swing of things and get some awesome games, some PSVR 2 goodness, some PSVR 1 goodness. Hopefully at some point, some PC VR goodness too. But guys, thank you so much once again. You have a wonderful rest of the night. We're going to get out of here with some metal. Thank you, Chrome to the Dome. Colossus says, I always confuse Mega Man with Astro Boy. Mega Man's way cooler. Tom says, thanks for the entertaining show. Thank you so much, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun on this one too. Flippy Nuggets says, dope, I missed the show. Damn kids. Yep, you should just sell them, Flippy Nuggets. Time to sell the kids. Gyson, fist bump to you. Jay the Phobiated Rendered Game Cat. Goodbye, my friend. Silver Nexus says, take care, be merry, and game on. And undergrounders and all VR players. Game Cats and all undergrounders and all VR players. Damn Skippy. Awesome Tatum, thanks so much, man. Twitcher, thanks for getting the scoop, homie. It's a thing. Twitcher's going to be our new inside guy like Hibbsy. Getting us the secret infos, additional infos. Bad Robo, gonna get you. I want to buy you a Hitman suit one day, Bad Robo. Bad Robo doing reviews these days too. I saw that. Yes, sir, I did. I saw Bad Robo. I heard his voice. I was like, oh my god, is that Bad Robo's voice? Is that actually his voice? He sounds like such a sweet gentleman. Such a stark contrast from his comments. No, I'm just kidding, Bad Robo. I hope you know I am just kidding and just teasing you. You are a great dude, and I appreciate you. Bambino Ramos, have a great night, my bro. Let's see here. Who else I get? Shapeshifter, the Anomaly Game Cat, Mad _ Vegan. Thank you so much, homie. No, did I miss anybody? I don't like to miss. No Game Cats left behind. Steve Irie, Azuraf, said Half-Life 2 Chopper. Get to the Chopper. Game Cat Chicago. Steamboat Village, Spaghetti Game Cat. Alright, guys. You have a wonderful night. I'll see you again very soon. Did you use AI? Wait a minute, Bad Robo. Did you really use AI? Hold on. Stop the music. Did you really use AI, Bad Robo? I would be so disappointed if you did. It's very realistic sounding AI. Anyways, okay. Dreams have been shattered tonight. But that's what Bad Robos do. Okay, night all. Bye-bye.